Wizard here at Kern County Library. Technology is so fun. It just never fails as prepared as we think we are. There is inevitably some technological challenge, and I come up here all sweaty and disheveled. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Let me get my notes together and my glasses on. Thank you all for being here. I grossly underestimated how many people were going to be here today. So I apologize. Probably should have been in the auditorium. I want to thank the Rankins and Seth Joel and Sheila Bowen for being here today. We've been working on this program for a couple months now, and we're very excited to be able to highlight cattle ranching in Kern County, and one of the first families involved in cattle ranching, as well as the Kern County Cattlewomen, and some of the new photography and projects that have been going on highlighting ranch-raised kids and ranches in California. My name is Lynn Kemmer. I'm the local history librarian here with Kern County Library. I'm also the workforce coordinator and the One Book Project coordinator, which is launching on Tuesday. We pick a book title and explore themes in the book, scheduling programming in October and November of each year. I'm also the veterans librarian for Beale. And if you ever have any questions about any of those programs or interested in partnering with the library in any of those areas, please come see me after the event. The local history room reopened in January of this year, actually December of 2023. And we redid the fire suppression system. So it is no longer water-based. And we have to run for our lives because some kind of gas gets released and sucks all the oxygen out of the room. So there's a bunch of buttons I have to press in case it's a false alarm. I was asked to be the local history librarian in January. I'm a reference librarian traditionally. So I've learned a lot from many of the people in the audience here. And I'm learning as I go. The room proper, where we are, holds Kern County history about, of course, the ranches, the families, the missions, the authors, some of the geography and precious resources that Kern County holds. We also have yearbooks behind me here by donation, so please consider donating your yearbook to the library so we can add it to our collection. And we also have city directories here, which are quite popular. People come in looking for history of certain properties in Kern County. I would like to also mention that our photographic collections are freely available online when you go to the Kern County Library website and you click on the local history room. The collections are available. You can click on the links and download the photographs and videos. We are also the archive for the Bakersfield, California newspaper, and we have a newspaper archive database that has archived articles in the newspaper going back since the beginning of the first release of or publication rather, of the paper, and up to 2018. Anything after 2018, you have to come in and look at the microfilm. So we have 2 brand new microfilm machines, which will allow you to clip, print, save, and email articles in the paper. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Sheila Bowen, who is representing the Kern County Cattlewomen. Sheila and her husband Jeff live on the Carver Bowen Ranch near Glenville, California. They met at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, where both majored in agricultural business management. Sheila graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in 1980, and Jeff and his sister Cindy manage the ranch, which is a cow-calf stalker operation headquartered in the foothills of the southern Sierra Nevada mountains. Jeff and Sheila have 4 children and 14 grandchildren that represent the 7th generation of California cowboys and cowgirls in their family tree. Sheila grew up near Bakersfield on a farm cattle operation. In addition to working on the ranch, she has taught school and served in various capacities in the following industry organizations. Bear with me, it's a long list. Vice President of the California Cattlemen's Association, Board Member of the California Beef Council, Alternate on the California Cattle Council, Chair of the Board of Directors for American National Cattlewomen, Secretary of American National Cattlewomen, and President of the California Cattlewomen from 2007 to 2008 and 2015 to 2016. Without further ado, please welcome Sheila Bowen.
Am I mic'd?
Yeah. I just want to thank Lynn for inviting us here today to share our story about California cattlewomen and ranching in Kern County. It is such an honor to be here, and what a treasure it is to have this kind of history saved on Kern County. My family goes back to the 1860s when they homesteaded, and I grew up on the farm that they homesteaded at the corner of Panama Lane and Buena Vista. And so this means a lot to me. My husband's family, came to California kind of in that gold rush era, and after trying to make a go of it with the gold rush, they knew they wanted to run a ranch. They knew they wanted to raise cattle. So they looked up and down the state and even into Mexico, and they came back to Glenville, California, because they felt it was some of the best ranching country that they'd found. And so we are so blessed that Jeff's and my grandchildren are the 7th generation, and his sister's children and grandchildren are 6th and 7th generation affiliated with the ranch. And so this history means a lot to us that you preserved it on our behalf. I got into, as a member of the Kern County Cattlewomen, back when my husband and I married. We married in September of 1980, and my mother-in-law, Alice Bowen, she bought me a membership in Kern County Cattlewomen. And I was somewhat familiar with it because my mom had been a member, and my sister had been a Kern County Cattle Princess, which was a youth contest that the Kern County Cattlewomen offered back then. And so she very much enjoyed her time doing that. And I'm so honored to get to be here today to kind of sing the praises of this organization. It has meant a lot to me in my adult life, and it has brought me friendships that I never would have had otherwise, starting in Kern County. And as I look back here at the Rankin family, and Glenda and Amanda and Rebecca, they are dear, dear people, and they have done so much under the auspices of Kern County Cattlewomen, and later under the auspices of the California Cattlewomen. Their talents are tremendous, and I've called on Rebecca numerous times because she's much better on a computer than I am. And she has been awesome to work with, all of them have. And so, as I talk to you today, I want to share with you, first off, that we stand on the shoulders of some pretty darn amazing women. The ladies that started this organization, and Kern County Cattlewomen was the first local organization in California. And at the time, we were called the California Cowbells. B-E-L-L-E-S. Yes. So those beautiful bells started ringing in 1948. And in 1951 is when the state started a state organization. And today, our state organization still exists. I was honored to be president of it in 2015 and 2016. We currently have 31 local associations around the state of California. And these women that belong to these organizations do a tremendous amount of good in our communities. They work a lot with children. I want to share with you what our website says as the mission of the Kern County Cattlewomen. Kern County Cattlewomen strive to preserve ranching in our country and work to secure a viable and prosperous future for the beef industry through education. And that's just a brief synopsis, but we do so much more than that. The ladies that founded this organization did so in part to have a little bit of social life with their ranching neighbors, because as you know, ranches are far apart, and Kern County is a fairly big county. And so it was an opportunity for these ladies to get together once a month and socialize. But in the process of that, it was also an opportunity for us to promote beef to our friends and neighbors and our city cousins. And I think one of the first projects that we did was a beef for Father's Day. And so the first child born on Father's Day, that family received a roast from the Kern County Cattlewomen, the same weight as the child that was born. And then another project that we did, started early on, was a cookbook. And so the ladies got together and put their best recipes in the cookbook. And then later on, that cookbook was redone, and this was done, I believe, in the 80s. And it was the 50th anniversary edition. And I'll bet Glenda has a few recipes in here. I know I have a couple, one of which I'm gonna fix when I get home today. But one of the reasons I wanted to share this with you is that there's a picture in the front of this of some of these founding members. And the picture includes Muriel Woody, Alice Beard, Evelyn Woody, Agnes Maven, Nona Williams, Helen Rankin, Josephine Seelig, Esther Snedden was not pictured, but she was still with us then. And then the Carvers, the Bowens, so many ranching ladies are the ones whose shoulders we stand on today, because they got this organization started and it has taken off. We do so much, and I'm going to read to you here in just a few minutes what some of our projects have been through these last 76 years. Last year we celebrated our 75th anniversary, and dear Debbie Hay organized a wonderful event up at the Equestrian Center in Tehachapi, and we spent, our ladies and friends spent a whole weekend riding horses, getting schooled on equestrian work with horses, and took a ride over to the winery and celebrated for 75 years. And so it was really a wonderful event. And one thing about this organization, there are ladies that do not mind working. I want to call, in today's language, we would call these ladies who are members of our local, state, and now national association, American National Cattlewomen, we would call them resilient. They don't give up. And they really don't take no for an answer. They figure out another route to take. If one door's shut, then by golly, we're gonna find the window that's open, and we're gonna get things done. Today's verbiage would call that resilient. I call that grit. Our ladies have grit, true grit, and they get things done for our local community, for our state, and for our nation. Not only in the good that they do working with children and providing scholarships and things, but promoting our product. Sometimes our product's misunderstood in today's age. There's talk about cows causing problems, greenhouse gases. And so in looking at that, we've looked to places like UC Davis and the Clear Center, where they have scientists up there studying greenhouse gases as it relates to animal agriculture. And the good news is that we actually have a really good story to tell because of the way the life cycle of the cow works in conjunction with the feed that's out there on the land. And that we are actually carbon neutral when you look at that life cycle of that animal. And because of the tremendous amount of rangeland that it takes to raise a cow-calf pair, that rangeland can't be utilized in many instances for anything but grazing because of the oak trees and the hills. It's not good farmland. I suppose you could build some houses on it, but there goes your open space. There goes your wildlife habitat. And there goes that food supply that could have been there, taking grass that's on our hillsides that is cellulose-based and our stomachs can't digest it, but guess what can? The ruminant animal called the cow. Mm-hmm. And she takes that grass and she takes it up and she feeds her calf, makes that milk, feeds that calf, and we raise that calf up on our cow-calf operations here in Kern County and sell that, and that calf becomes a really good source of high-quality protein for our consumers and for our nation. And so it provides protein, zinc, iron, B vitamins, some trace minerals that are very important to our body. And for a piece of meat about the size of the palm of my hand right here, 3-ounce cooked serving, maybe 170 calories, you get a tremendous amount of nutrition in that small steak or hamburger or roast. And it can be cooked in a variety of ways, and there's recipes to help you do it right there. So I'll get back to my notes here. So we were called the Kern County Cowbells, but in 1987, the cowbell name changed to Cattlewomen in cooperation with the change at the national level. American National Cattlewomen changed their name, and so our state changed from California Cowbells to California Cattlewomen, and then we as a local organization did the same. But we've still got young women who come into our organization, and they want to be called the Baby Bells. And we're happy to do that. I tell you what, this is a multi-generation organization. And we have 4 generations still living on the ranch, and my hat is off to Carver and Alice Bowen, my father and mother-in-law. Carver's the 4th generation on the ranch. My husband's the 5th, our kid's the 6th, our grandkids the 7th. Carver is that link between those first, second, third generation, because he knew most of them. And the 5th, 6th, and 7th generations, because he knows all of them. They're in their 90s. Mm-hmm. Carver's going to turn, his birthday's in December. He'll be 94.
Yeah, tell Carver happy birthday from a classmate of his.
Yes, I'll do that. Bill, thank you for being here today. I will tell him that. Oh. But these are fabulous people. Their ancestors came across the Sierra Nevada mountains. And Jeff and I took a drive. We were in Nevada, and we drove across through the Sonoma Pass. And I looked at those rugged mountains, those tough old Sierra Nevada mountains, and the trees that were there, and the lack of roads. We traveled on a lovely highway, but that didn't exist back in the 1800s when our ancestors came. The first property on the ranch was purchased in 1872. They were in Glendale sooner than that, but that's the property associated with our particular ranch has that date on it. So when I think about those ancestors coming across and what it took to cross those mountains and really not know what they were going to find on the other side, and to stick with it. My kids like to say, I'm so glad that our great-great-greats did not give up and stop in Nevada. And that's nothing against Nevada, because I've been there and it's a beautiful state. But California has so much to offer here. It really does. And we're just very blessed to be a part of this state and do what we do. So what I want to do is share with you a little bit of what Kern County Cattlewomen have been up to for the last 76 years. We've provided field trips to ranches, so local school children can come up to the ranch and take a tour and learn about agriculture, learn about how cattle are raised and the environment around them and how important that environment is to keeping it healthy and able for our cattle to live there. Our family was, the past few years, have enjoyed students from Denmark coming to our ranch, and they are ag students, and they get to tour certain ag things throughout California, and so they have chosen our ranch on several different years. They didn't get to come during COVID, although it was set up, but they're back and they came. We hosted 2 different groups of Denmark kids this year. We provide scholarships. Glenda and I were talking, and we estimated around $100,000 worth of scholarships have been given out by just our association, our local Kern County Cattlewomen, over the last 10 years. And so the funds that we raise go out to our kids to help them through college or trade school or, pursuing what their hearts desire, and many of them go to ag. And we certainly appreciate that generation coming back in. We sponsor fair awards for kids who show beef steers or beef heifers. We participate in Farm Day in the City, which is where 3rd graders come to the Kern County Fairgrounds and learn about Kern County agriculture. We developed a little video called Life on a Cattle Ranch, a child's perspective, because when I chaired that booth, or that kids coming to the fairgrounds, I thought, you know what, kids will learn better from their peers than they will from me standing up there talking. Right. So we brought ranch kids up from the Grisdale Ranch, Francis Ranch, Rogers family, and they talked to the kids. But we also showed this video, because the kids made it with their parents, that showed what kids do from day to day on a cattle ranch and from season to season on a cattle ranch. And that ended up being used all across the state, and even out of state, I think, in the other local associations when they went into the classroom as well. And so we won the Walt Rodman Award, which is an award given out by the California Beef Council for the top beef promotion type education project that year. We provide lesson plans on our website, and the website is kerncattlewomen.org. And I know a lot of those lesson plans were developed by you, Rebecca. Rebecca is a mentor teacher and librarian now. I'm getting the... so I'm going to hurry this up. We have sold things like placemats, coffee mugs, napkins with our brands on them, even blankets with our brand, Kern County brands on them, to help make money. Rebecca's also made placemats that we have printed and put in the restaurants so that the kids would have an educational thing to play with and learn a little bit about animal agriculture as they were waiting for their meal to come. We have a beef ambassador contest with the junior and senior ambassadors. We produce cookbooks. We gather ranch histories, and there's a book out there that the California Cattlewomen put together. There's probably at least 22 Kern County ranch histories. We've submitted the most of any of the other counties to tell our story about ranching families, and each family wrote their own history for that book. We have sent Christmas cards to our troops at Christmas time. We participate in Safe Halloween at the Kern County Museum. We have a Cattlewomen booth at World Egg Expo that our local gals help not only put together but design and man. And that's a project of the California Cattlewomen. We participated in the Ranch Raised Kids book, which you're going to hear about in just a moment. We were very excited about that, and it turned out just lovely, featuring kids raised on cattle ranches here in our beautiful state. For fundraisers, we've had the celebration of Western culture at the Tracy Ranch, dinners and dances, reverse drawings, a clay shoot at Five Dog Shooting Range was our most recent fundraiser, and I understand that did very well. Our next project is a Western art sale at Fort Tahona. It's going to be October 20th. A lovely family had a pretty awesome collection of ranch paintings and things that they donated to our association. And so this project will be selling that artwork and providing funds for the Kern County Cattlewomen. We honor our one cattleman and one cattlewoman of the year each year at a banquet. We also keep up on legislative things because there's a lot of things coming at us regulatory-wise and legislatively that can damage our ability to stay on the ranch and to do what we do. And so we have to stay on top of that. The California Cattlemen's Association is very helpful in that we have a lobbyist who keep track of, there's almost 3,000 bills that can come through the legislative process up in Sacramento. And so to keep tabs on all of those to see which ones may benefit us or which ones definitely will not is a big job. And so we certainly rely on California Cattlemen's Association. I'm just going to wrap it up by saying that we also have other associations, and Lynn was nice enough to mention some of them. And because I have sat on their board or been an alternate on their board, I've attended their meetings, and we have meetings a couple times a year and sometimes conference calls in between. So that's the California Beef Council. Its job basically is to promote beef in California. And so we do that through promotion and education, also bringing people out to the ranch. There's nothing better to change the mind of someone who's not sure about a cattle rancher than bringing them out to the ranch and showing them how much we care about our animals, how much we love what we do, and what an honor it is for us to be out there with our animals in that beautiful environment and raising a food supply for our nation. And animal agriculture, you don't want to get along without it. I totally respect someone that is a vegetarian and that's the diet that they choose. I have no problem with that. But there's a lot of different folks with a lot of different strokes. And we find it important to produce a good, healthy protein for our nation. And you can't get a better one than beef, if you ask me.
Okay, I'm going to be introducing our next speaker now, so let me get up to the podium quickly and they're going to pass the mic. I'm hoping everyone has a raffle ticket. We're going to be giving away 3 books which were published by the Kern County Cattlewomen, titled California Ranch Raised Kids. And we have the honor today of having one of the creators of that book by the name of Seth Joel. His partner Charlie Holland, who was also a co-creator of the book, could not be here today. But we're highlighting their new title called California Ranch Raised Kids. The books are up on the podium here. They're also on the table outside the door. Please go see Seth after the event and talk about it. We will be giving away 3 books, and Seth has agreed. Actually, we haven't talked about this, but Seth will be signing the books. Are you?
Happy to.
Sorry, I'm breathing into the mic. So Seth and Charlie are professional photographers based in Los Angeles, and they have enjoyed a long marriage and successful career as photographers. The project Ranch Raised Kids was inspired by the amazing children that they met in Arizona initially. Kids who proudly represent the ranching lifestyle and show the good manners, cowboying skills, and hardworking attitude that the community values. Seth's portraits capture beautiful moments in the life of a child raised on a ranch, and the images shot through his honest and empathetic lens show the reality, not the myth, of contemporary ranching. Try not to breathe and pass out. Through the kids' thoughtful words, we all understand a little more about this unique traditional lifestyle and see how ranching practices are being modified to produce beef more efficiently in the 21st century. So the book actually has stories written by the kids on the different ranches in their own words. So it's almost like an oral history. I don't know what the age ranges are, but Seth will go into more detail. Without further ado, please welcome Seth Holland.
Thank you, Lynn, and thank you, Sheila. You put the G in grit. What you do is really amazing. Can everybody hear me okay?
No, Mike, it's not.
It's not really.
They can't in the back.
Here, I'll give you my mic. I'm coming back up. This is why I'm out of breath. I was literally running throughout the entire library before the presentation started. Okay.
On there.
Just make sure pass the buck.
Sure. Can you take that? Oh, that's much better.
Yeah.
Much better. Again, thank you, Sheila and Lynn. Hello, Kern County Library people. This is an amazing facility. I just want to take off my jacket and hang out all day, read books. It's great to be here. So today we celebrate California Ranch-raised kids and the great kids of Kern County. Charlie sends her love. She couldn't be here today, but as Lynn said, she's co-creator, writer, producer, showrunner of the Ranch-raised Kids project. And she sends her very best. In our line of work, doing these ranch books all over the western regions, we're on the road a lot. So during these long car trips, Charlie and I brainstormed the whole idea of ranch-raised kids. We even came up with the title. And we knew from the very start that it would be non-commercial, and it would be non-political, and that we'd also self-finance it. So when we got back to our home in LA from a trip to Arizona, we applied for a grant from the Art Center Design, School of Art Center Design in LA, and they awarded us a $5,000 grant. And that grant money became the seed money in order for us to get started on the Arizona Ranch-raised Kids, which was our first book. And it also was the first time we realized that the project had legs outside of the ranching community. And that was really important to us because we wanted our work to reach out to people outside of the ranching community so they could get a better understanding of what the next generation of ranch kids are going to be doing when they inherit or they start their own ranches. And ranching in the 21st century is full of tremendous challenges and technologies. So we've got kids who are experts with drones, kids that have a real knowledge of the forage on the land. And it's been a real honor to have the opportunity to go from ranch to ranch, now in 3 states. Our first book was Arizona, then California, Then we just completed New Mexico, and that came out at Christmas time. And now we're starting a book that's going to be long-term on Native American ranch-raised kids. And that's going to cover about 17 entities in 8 states. So that's going to be amazing. And just the day before yesterday, before I even finished my presentation, the Colorado Cattlewomen reached out to us and have agreed to start a book. So we'll start shooting that first thing next year. So we're just rolling right along with the cattle industry and the next generation of kids. Now, to give you a little bit of background about me, I'm a career photographer, and I grew up in a Hudson River town just outside of New York City. So, you know, for me, I had much more asphalt under my feet than ranch land. And my father was a Life magazine photographer, so he trained me. And Yale Joel was his name. And so I really, just like your ranch kids, I was trained by the master. And that's the thing about ranch kids, they're constantly being schooled by their parents, their community, their uncles and aunts, and even just neighbors. They neighbor an awful lot. I can safely say that at my age, telling stories with pictures is my passion. I've been doing it since I was a teenager. But creating ranch-raised kids became my dream. And this dream just continues to grow with every family that we work with. So sit back, enjoy the show. It's going to kind of take you through where we are and where we're going. And is there any way we can dim lights, or is that?
Yes.
Right, we can see it. Through the line.
There you go.
Yeah, that's perfect.
They can't open it. Oh, shoot. Okay, all right.
One of those kids will know how to do it.
Yes, we're those kids when I need them. They keep me safe and do all the technology.
Same here. You know Loomis Dean?
I know the name. And my wife
there you
knows.
go. There you
Oh,
go.
it's working. Yes.
See, you're unsupported.
She walked up and over.
Oh, that's beautiful. Just turn it off.
Well, you know what?
Here comes the techie kid.
It went to sleep. We can start it again once it wakes up.
Have the volume off.
Volume on.
Yeah, it's off.
There.
Thank you. You're my hero.
There it goes. Pretty. That's a pretty picture.
That one is, yeah. pretty sure he's there.
I know who she is. Very cute.
So you can only imagine that all these kids feel like their own grandchildren. And following their news and their accomplishments, their certificates, their awards, their university. And we've been to a couple of weddings, actually. And so it continues to be an incredible journey for us. So I want to thank you very much for your time and being here, and to the Rankins, and to Sheila, and the Haffenfelds. I don't know if they're here, but we love you, and thank you again.
No.
Testing 1, 2. No. Chris? I need a tech guy. Full time. I try the other one. Everything goes to sleep around here, except me. No smooth transitions. Lights, please, yes. No, we need a light person too. We need a sound and light person, full time, and then we need a tech person. And I need 4 hands. So it looks like we might be going a little over. I hope you all will stay, because we have saved the best for the first and the last. But just this has gone out again.
Just project.
Can you hear me if I speak this loudly in the back? Not sure why this is still turning off again.
If you stop breathing, you won't have that problem.
Yeah, I just might drop dead right now. Have a heart attack and stop breathing.
Don't do that.
So I'm going to introduce Glenda and read her biography first, and then she's going to be introducing someone who is going to tell a story about the Walker Ranch. So if you don't mind, I'm going to introduce you first, and then you can introduce the guest, because we're adding someone in the mix here. So I'm going to read a little bit about Bill and Glenda Rankin, who, along with their 4 children, Jason, Sarah, and Amanda, continue to own and operate their family cattle ranch, which was founded in 1863 by Bill's great-grandfather, Walker Rankin Sr. Their daughter, Rebecca, stays connected to her family heritage in Kern County Agricultural while serving as the Norris School District's head librarian in Bakersfield. Yay! Glenda is very involved in Rankin Ranch's guest ranch operations, which welcomes people from all around the world for ranch vacations. 2025 will mark the 60th anniversary when 3rd generation Helen Rankin, Bill's mother, opening the ranch to city folks to experience ranch life.
Today, families that came in the 60s and 70s are still returning after establishing family traditions with the Rankins. Glenda also plays an important role in the preservation of Kern County history with membership in the Kern County Historical Society, Kern River Valley Historical Society, South Fork Women's Club, and Ellen Baker Tracy Guild at the Kern County Museum. I hope I said that correctly. And the Kern County Cattlewomen. In 2005, she and her sister Diane Sharman researched the history of their mother's Victorian home on the Rosedale Highway, and over the next 3 years raised the funds to have the 100-year-old Lopez Hill House relocated to the Kern County Museum. In 2008, it joined over 50 other homes and structures on the 16 acres in Pioneer Village. In 2009, they enjoyed meeting Merle Haggard, famous Bakersfield Sound musician, and his sister Lillian, and they worked on the relocation of Merle's childhood boxcar home to Pioneer Village. It was transported to the museum in July 2015. It opened to the public 1 year later after Cynthia Lake provided funds for its restoration. Glenda and Diane met many Bakersfield Sound musicians during these years, and they decided to make a documentary sharing the rich history of the country music in Bakersfield during the 1950s to the early 1980s. With the help of a retired filmmaker, Chuck Barbie, and his wife Tammy from Kernville, they completed the documentary, and it was well received when shown at the historic Fox Theater. You may be wondering why I'm going into detail about the Lopez home and the Merle Haggard connection.
Yes.
Yay! This makes me feel a lot better. Okay, just want to share a little bit about the history of Rankin Ranch. We are so blessed to be able to live up in Walker Basin, a beautiful little mountain valley. Raise our children, I always say, is the very best part about living there. All 4 of our children have grown up there, and 6 of our grandchildren have grown up there. So, and then our 2 that are here in Bakersfield, they spend more time up there than they do here. So we loved being able to have our family close by. I don't know if any of you on the way in noticed the 2 pictures that are on the side here, Walker and Lavinia Rankin. We would not be here today if it hadn't been for these 2 people. The gold rush of the 40s brought both families, actually Lavinia's family in 1948, and then Walker came, he and his brother came to California in 18. Did I say 19 before? I'm so sorry. Rewind. In 1848, Lavinia and her family came out. Covered wagon across from Missouri. They left from St. Joseph, Missouri, came to California. The gold rush was behind most of the people coming to California during that time. But they settled over on the coast after they got here. Actually, I just have to backtrack because Lavinia had her last child, I believe, Abaya T. Leitner, was born on January 1st, their first day in California. So think about that, a lady coming across the prairie on a covered wagon, pregnant those months. So Lavinia is just such an intricate part of our family history. She grew up, like I said, they started in Santa Clara. They went up when Keysville became a gold rush town. They came to Kern County, and then after there was a big flood and washed out their mine, they did make a little bit of money off the gold, but it was farming and ranching that they really wanted to be involved in. So they went over the hill to Walker Basin, started their ranch there, and Lavinia has so many stories that she shared, and we are so fortunate to have her memoirs that she dictated to her granddaughter Rachel when she was 90 years old. So a lot of those have been published over the years, different places, but we love being able to go back and hear about the history of their wagon train trip, of their establishing the ranch in Walker Basin. They actually moved into a little 3-room adobe house that is still there, a part of the home that they lived in, the family has lived in ever since. So it's just, I don't know, I always try to emphasize to children how important history is. And I think the one thing that all of you in this room need to remember, those children aren't going to know about history unless you tell them. They need to know your history so they can pass it on down. And when my sister and I are docents at the museum, we always have groups of children that come in with the schools, and most of them are really pretty receptive to learning about the history of Kern County. But I always ask them, okay, do you guys have a journal? Do you write things down? And some of them will say, yeah, I do. Most of them say, no, I don't do that. And I said, well, you know, you really need to write down stories about your life, because in the future, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren are going to want to know what life was like now, because it's ever-changing. History never stops. It continues to go forever and ever. So I think before I go on, well, maybe, what do you think, Philip? Do you want to tell your story now about Walker, or should I tell about Walker's history coming to California?
Let me get out of your way and you can then close it up.
Okay, well, I want to hear the story because I haven't heard it yet.
Please introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm so sorry. This is Philip Rudnick. Probably most all of you in this room have heard about the Rudnick family here in Kern County. They have a long established history. So Philip came up to me and he said, do you think I could have a few minutes to tell a little story about Walker Rankin? So I'm excited to hear that story too.
I'm gonna try to speak loud enough so we don't need that. So if I'm not getting to the back, raise your hand and I'll raise the volume. First of all, I want to congratulate the families that have put this on, that have carried on the ranching tradition of Kern County. But I'm here today to maybe share with those of you that are interested of how business was done by the early ranchers. I'm 14 years old, and I'm working at my father's meat packing plant at Kern Valley Packing Company. And 3 or 4 truckloads of cattle show up. And there's a rancher from Walker's Basin. Pretty good looking guy. My father has a horse for him. They unload his cattle. His name is Walker. He goes out and he starts sorting the cattle. Because if you're buying cattle, they're not all the same, right? So he sorts the cattle. The good ones here, the less ones here, the cows there, the bulls here. Just like a cattle buyer would do. My father is there. When Walker is done, he comes over and talks to my father. My father says, well, Walker, that steer over there, why'd you put him in the second group? Well, he's a little staggy. No, he's good enough. Put him back in the first group. And this is how they went through the grading.
Oh, shoot.
Then it came to the prices. You know, the prices. The devil's in the details, right? Well, Walker used to investigate the prices based on what would come out of Los Angeles, which is where the markets were. And he said, you know, Oscar, he says, I think those good steers are worth 22 cents a pound. Today, they're over $2 a pound. 22 cents a pound. My dad would look at him and he'd say, you know, Walker, that's right. That's kind of the market in Los Angeles. But I tell you, in Kern County, they're worth 23 cents a pound. I'm standing there. I'm supposed to be a cattle buyer, right? And I'm trying to find out how do you buy cattle from ranchers by giving them more than what they're asking. So that was the way.
That's great.
The way that Walker Rankin and my father did business. My father was an immigrant, and my mother both, from Eastern Europe. He was a peddler, and he built himself up, and he developed a reputation, and it was people like Walker Rankin that supported him, that allowed him to accomplish a lot of the things he did. Now, if you don't bring out the hooks, I'm going to tell you another personal story about the same kind of situation, because this is something I don't think you're going to.
What was like back then and how everything ran. Well, I tell people old letters that you have in your family are so revealing. We one time got all these letters together and read them, and it was just really, really nice. They talked about elections that were going on and all the different things that were happening with the family members and all. But this, two letters in particular, one was from Lee Rankin, who had gone down to El Paso, Texas, and he wrote a letter to Julia, his wife, and he said, we bought the cattle, everything's good, and this afternoon we went out to the air show, and it was nice, it was fun, it was good, but I know those things are never going to catch on. But at the end of his letter he said, but I know you, if you had the opportunity, you would go up in one of those crazy machines. So I just thought, here I've never met her, but I know she's a rambunctious, spunky lady because of this letter. So I think today we're missing out on a lot of history being written because I don't text, but most people text and are into the technology. I just am still a dinosaur. My sister keeps telling me, it's so easy to text, you need to do it. And I said, I don't want to. But maybe someday I'll do it. But anyway, I just think all of the ways that we can pick and find out more about the history of our families, it's just so important to be able to pass that down to your children and grandchildren. And history is so important. We just have to preserve what we have. So now I'm going to let my daughter tell you a little bit about Rankin Ranch, the diversification after all these years. Actually, next year will be 60 years that we've been inviting people to the ranch, to our guest ranch. So she's going to tell you about that and a whole lot more.
Big round of applause. So many chords.
Okay, we're going to get the USB going. I turned it off, so it's going to have to load back up again. But while we're waiting, I'm going to read Amanda's biography so I can properly introduce her. Let me get to the right page here. Okay, Amanda Rankin Barrett is a member of the 5th generation to live and work on her family's ranch.
She graduated from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in 2008 with a degree in ag business and returned home to help continue the family business. Cattle work, office work, or taking guests on trail rides, she's always up for the adventure. She and Brian Barrett just celebrated their 15th wedding anniversary. He is captain for the Kern County Fire Department and helps on the ranch when he is not at the station. I just wanted to mention that I had asked Linda, the Boral fire came pretty close to the property and they haven't really talked about it today, but she had told me it came within a mile of the property, and then I had the pleasure of attending a presentation at the Kern County Museum, and the Rankins were mentioned quite a bit for harboring animals from nearby properties. And that presentation was given by the gal in the back there.
Jane.
Yes. Jane
Hotchkiss Price.
Jane Hotchkiss Price. I apologize. Wonderful presentation at the Kern County Museum, and they talked a little bit about some of the things that were lost at the, in the area and also at the museum. So if you're interested in talking with her after the event, she's in the back. Back to the introduction. In 2014, Amanda saw the opportunity to add a new dimension to the family business and began selling Rankin beef directly from the ranch and at local farmers markets. This aspect of the business has grown over the past 10 years, and she has earned loyal customers throughout the state of California. She has a passion for cattle industry and enjoys sharing her way of life with others, whether she be at the ranch or through events with the Kern County Cattlewomen and Cattlewomen's associations. Please welcome Amanda Rankin Barrett.
Okay, and we're good. Just click on the play button. Just click on the play button.
Excuse my rear end. Just
Click on play.
All right, well, thank you guys, everybody, for sticking around. I know that we've gone beyond 12 o'clock, but hopefully that's because you're interested and excited about what everybody has to say this morning. So I am happy to be the one to wrap things up today. My mom had shared a little bit about the history of our ranch and the legacy that we have there in Walker Basin, and I'd like to share a little bit more with you about the diversification of our ranch. And a lot of that diversification comes from the desire for our family to have this legacy continue, to keep the ranch in our family, and to allow more of our family members to continue to be a part of the business. That obviously, first and foremost, we're a cattle ranch. We're raising beef cattle, but our family has changed significantly over the years from what it started in 1863 to what we are today. So I'll start this video and try to talk through it quickly so that we can carry on with our day, but have some photos from the ranch and tell you a little bit more about what we're doing now. So if we go back to the 1950s with my grandparents, maybe. There we go. So this is my grandparents with my father and his two sisters, and it was just their little family. Then in the 1990s, you have our family with my grandmother, still a rather small group. And now in 2023, there's quite a few of us. So we need a way to be able to continue to operate and continue to be a part of the ranch. And this is really important to our family, and really it's about the next generation, the sixth generation of Rankins, to be on the ranch and to continue this. So here's some of that generation, and the diversification allows this to happen. So we obviously are still raising cattle and farming crops just as Walker Rankin Sr. started. And then, let me pause this for a second. I can't talk fast enough. And then we have our guest ranch, which my mom mentioned, that started in 1965. And then the most recent addition is selling our beef directly to consumers, which is a passion of mine, a project of mine. So this is a picture of our headquarters, and it sits in Walker Basin. And then there's a little video that follows that shows you a bit of the terrain of the ranch, that really it's quite mountainous. And then coming into Walker Basin here, that's really the only flat part of the ranch. So that's where we do our farming and have our guest ranch operations. But the majority of it is those rugged mountains, which really are great for grazing cattle. And that's what we've been doing for 160 years now. So we continue to operate as a cattle ranch first and foremost. That's what we're there for. We have 31,000 acres that we raise beef cattle on. And that is the passion of our family, is to continue that legacy, but then to also utilize our resources in the best ways that we can. So we continue to raise white-faced Hereford cattle that my great-great-grandfather started with. They're well suited for the terrain that we have, and they do well in our mountains and our meadows, that they graze those hills. Sheila had mentioned, I believe that, a lot of this rangeland isn't suitable for farming or other things. So it's great for raising cattle and turning a natural renewable resource into a nutrient-dense food product, something that we can all enjoy and get nutrition from. So as we go along with the cattle ranch, it's important to us that we honor the traditions that our family has had over these generations, but then it's also imperative that we adapt to new things, new ways of doing things. And so we continue to use horses to do a lot of our work on the ranch, to gather, but we have been able to continue to evolve and adapt some modern technologies. Some things we stick with the old because it works. That, there's nothing wrong with a pad of paper and a pencil to jot things down and keep things going. But with that transition to newer things, my husband got his pilot's license, and so now we're able to utilize a helicopter to gather our cattle in conjunction with horses. And I had made this little video earlier that, the cattle, or the horses and the helicopter, they both have to be cared for. They both have to be fed, either fuel or hay. And they're both able to go out and gather that mountain. But it's incredible the efficiency of using the helicopter to bring our cattle down off the mountain in conjunction with the cowboys on the ground. So you can see the cattle move off the helicopter the way that they would from a horse on the ground. So you can see Brian, my husband, flying, and these cattle are moving, and he can get around in front of them a bit, and that'll turn them, and they'll go up a canyon the way that we need them to go. And so it's an important thing that we continue to embrace these things as we go along. And there's, technological changes not only on the cattle ranch side of things, but then also with our farming operation. So transitioning into that piece of diversification, obviously Walker Rankin Sr. didn't have quite the farming equipment that we have today in order to grow hay on the ranch either. So we continue to grow rye hay, oats, barley, and then we also have some alfalfa that we irrigate. But we're pretty thankful that we have tractors and discs and modern technology to do that as well. That there's certainly things that have made our life easier over the years, but this farming operation works right in conjunction with raising cattle, because the cattle don't have grass all year. You guys know here in Kern County it's kind of dry. We don't have green grass all year, so we have this hay to feed to the cattle and the horses at times of the year when it's not green. So we continue this. My brother sells hay in the community, and then we've also expanded our alfalfa, and so now some of that alfalfa actually comes down here to the San Joaquin Valley, to dairy farms and such. So there again, just continuing to grow in ways that our family has interest and also expertise and skills that can continue to grow the different pieces of our family business to allow us to stay there, to continue doing what we love doing, and also honoring those who came before us, because they worked very hard to hold on to our ranch and to pass it down through these generations to give us the chance to be there today doing what we do. But we have to keep moving. With any farming comes repairing farm equipment. So that goes to the skills that my brother and my husband and my brother-in-law Clint oversee our farming operation. And if it weren't for Brian and Clint, I don't know if those tractors would still be running. They're not the newest or the fanciest, but my dad always says they're just metal, boys, you can fix them. So they'll get out their welders and, put something back together and come pick up parts. And so that piece piece of the business is important for several members of our family, and really the seasonality of things, it works well together and really supports the main thing of having our cattle ranch and having that hay to feed our livestock in times when there's not green grass. And then we're going to transition into the guest ranch here, which is the next diversification, but the hay impacts that as well because we have an awful lot of horses to take out trail rides, and they eat a lot of alfalfa hay. So that is complementary to that piece of our business as well. So my mom had made mention about our guest ranch where we have folks come on vacation, and that was started by my grandmother in 1965. So for my life, that's all that I've ever known, is having our cattle ranch and our farming and our guest ranch. I was raised in it, and that's just life. That's what we do. So I'm sure glad that my grandmother had the vision for this, for history, horses, and Western hospitality. That's what we're doing. Folks come up on vacation, and I feel like it gives us the ability to have, this beautiful life in a rural place and continue the ranch, but then also have people from around the world come and stay with us, that it brings the world to us, and we have that social side that otherwise we wouldn't have living in Walker Basin. So we have our cabins and this cute little Conestoga wagon that folks stay in. We serve all of their meals, so 3 meals a day, and people are always raving about the food. It is quite delicious, with Rankin beef served as much as possible, of course. And we have breakfast inside and dinner outside. We have a little patio party where folks gather before dinner. Obviously, the horseback riding is a big draw for folks to come out and be on the back of a horse and enjoy God's creation and the beautiful scenery around us. So we have a lot of folks that come back year after year, and they have a tradition of being at the ranch and enjoying that setting with their family. We have our hayride and barbecue on Wednesdays and Sundays, which is definitely a highlight where the hayride takes them out. We have a nice barbecue meal and then play horseshoes after the meal, and just have a beautiful 360-degree view in every direction. Obviously, the animals beyond our cattle and horses are fun to see, and then have things that make it enjoyable to fill your free time with the swimming pool and recreation room. And then we have evening activities at the end of each day. This is little horse races where the kids are jockeys and the adults bet on them. We also do a square dance and Western line dancing, and really the point of it is just to bring people back together at the end of the day to enjoy each other's company, to enjoy the people you came with. It's an unplugged experience, so there's no televisions in the rooms, there's no cell phone service, so when's the last time you square danced? Or convince your kids to square dance? Probably not, but at the ranch, you might as well, because there's, no Wi-Fi to go play on instead. So the families that come and stay with us oftentimes will have special celebrations and things that they're gathering for. There's other times when we'll have groups of friends that come up together, and it's really just a great place to gather. And we have our kids program that does activities throughout the day for the kids. So they're doing crafts and hikes and games and all sorts of things. And I think for both parents and grandparents, it's really nice because your kids are having a great time, but you're not the one having to entertain them. So there's fun things that you can see them enjoying it, but you're not responsible for every moment of that day, which can make you enjoy your vacation as well. So really, it's all, for us, it's just about creating memories and creating, bonds with your family, with your friends, with the friends that you make when you get there, and carrying those memories through as you go home or as you come back. For years to come, we have a lot of people who have made friends at the ranch, and they come back that same time every year so that they can see those same people and almost become like extended family, like extra cousins that you see on vacation every year. So the guest ranch, I think, was a big proponent in kind of the final piece of our diversification, or our most recent piece, which is the beef. And if it weren't for the guest ranch, I don't know if we would have done the beef or done it quite the way that we did, because we had the opportunity to serve the meat at the ranch. We had guests coming that could purchase it. All of our beef is grass-fed and grain-finished, and that's a personal choice of our family. That's that's the kind of beef we like to eat. We like the flavor of it, and it's what works well on our ranch because we don't have green grass year-round to have grass-finished cattle. So that is what we have done. We also age our meat, which adds to the tenderness and flavor. It's all natural with no antibiotics or hormones. Obviously, like Sheila talked about, it's really important to us that our cattle are cared for and that they're healthy. So if something gets sick, we're certainly going to take care of it. And if it needs antibiotics, we're going to give it antibiotics, but we're going to put a tag in it so that we know that animal had antibiotics, and it'll go to a different piece of our beef program. So the meat that we sell directly from the ranch under the Rankin beef label is a very small part of the bigger picture of the ranch at this point in time. I started about 10 years ago, so it's grown significantly over that time, but still has a long ways that it could go. So it'll be interesting to see where it does go as time goes on. So as far as the way that we sell our meat, you can buy a single steak all the way up to a whole animal, just kind of depending on your budget and your freezer space and all of those things. We try to make it easy. So most folks will go on our website and order there. So you can peruse through the different cuts that we have available and pick out your favorites. We always have different packages and bundles that you can choose from as well. So we try to make it easy. If the website doesn't work, then you can always pick up the phone and give us a call, and we're happy to talk to you too. So we have developed a number of different ways that we get the meat out to folks. We have gone to farmers markets, and right now we're going just to the market out in Ridgecrest once a month. So we take the meat out there. We found that once a month is kind of a good amount of time for folks because it's in the freezer, so you can stock up for the month, and then you pull it out as you're ready to eat it, and then next month you restock, and you're not, trying to get it every week. It seems to work well for people. So we also ship meat throughout the state of California via UPS with dry ice. But you guys don't have to do that because you're right here close. Then we take our trailer down to Southern California once a month for larger orders. We'll go as far as San Diego. But right here in Bakersfield, we actually do home deliveries every Tuesday. So we come around to Bakersfield and we'll deliver beef between 4 and 7 in the evening. If you're not home, you can leave an ice chest by the door and we'll drop off your order there, and it'll be waiting for you when you do get home. So, and then we try to take care of kind of the surrounding communities of Kern County as well. So in Tehachapi and the Kern River Valley, we have a monthly meetup where we'll meet you to pick up your order in those locations, so you don't have to make the drive all the way to the ranch, but you certainly can if you'd like to. So this is kind of the schedule that we're doing things all month, all the time, staying busy, whether it's with the meat or the guest ranch or the cattle or the farming. It keeps all of our family very busy, but I think it just kind of goes back to what several folks have talked about today, and kind of the premise of the Ranch Raised Kids book, that it really is about the next generation, and it's about the future of these ranches, our family's ranch, as well as several others in Kern County that have a similar legacy that they're continuing, that I think Sheila and anyone else in her shoes would agree that it's about the future. It's about those next generations that are on the ground or maybe not even born yet, that you hope to continue in a way that allows them the opportunity to live this life, because it is a life that we all dearly love. So thank you all for coming out to hear about it.
Just a little gift. Just a little
Question. Yes,
Are
Michael?
you still doing honey?
Pardon?
Are you still doing honey, selling honey?
Honey.
We do not. So my brother-in-law kept honeybees. That was a piece of the diversification for a chapter in time. But with the expansion of our farming, growing more alfalfa, that's taken a lot of his time, and so we don't have very many hives anymore. Just a few, and we don't sell honey anymore. But it sure was good. We enjoyed it when we had it.
Good honey.
Thank you. We're going to do a Q&A in just a minute, but for those that need to leave, we do have a raffle. Who's hungry? Who's hungry after seeing all those beautiful photographs? I know that when I'm driving and I see cattle grazing, I'm like, I want to eat those cows. So it's good information to know where you can actually get the type of beef